It's Sunday night. You've decided this will be the week that you finally start using that gym membership. You know, the one that's been unused for months. It's a fresh start, you tell yourself. You've planned out daily classes. The times this time will be different. Monday, you smash it. Tuesday too. Wednesday, something comes up. Work blows out, a kid gets sick, you're just tired. You skip it. I'll pick it up Thursday, you tell yourself. Thursday doesn't happen either, and by the weekend, you're right back to where you started, except somehow it feels worse than when you started. Sound familiar? Here's the thing. The problem was never the missed workout. It's not about the gym or the run or the meditation session or whatever habit you're trying to take on. The real problem is you've stopped trusting yourself. Every I'll start again Monday that doesn't happen isn't just a missed session. It's a tiny broken promise. And broken promises compound until one day you're not even surprised when you bail on yourself again. Because somewhere along the way, you started believing that's just who you are. That's the rut, not the missed gym session, the quiet loss of faith in your own word. It's integrity, not just willpower, that actually builds confidence. And today I'm going to walk you through how I broke a decade-long rut of my own a few weeks ago with something genuinely unreasonable I committed to, and the exact framework that got me there. One you can use for whatever your version of the gym thing is. I'm Kelly Nichols, and if you're new here, welcome to Wellness Simplified. And I'll make you a promise right now. By the end of this episode, you'll have a clear, practical plan for how to finally break your own rut. Not with more willpower, but by rebuilding the one thing that actually gone missing, trust in yourself. So let's get into it. So the real problem, you probably heard the, just build more good habits 1,000 times. That's true, but nobody tells you why the same habits that stick for some people just don't for you. Or, then maybe they used to stick for you and they don't anymore. And it's not information you're missing. You already know exercise or whatever it is you're trying to do is good for you. You could probably recite the benefits in your sleep. Knowledge is not the problem. So, what is? Integrity. Your ability to keep your word to others, sure, but especially to yourself. And that kind of confidence isn't some trait you either have or don't. It's evidence-based, built from a track record. Your actions are what grow it or shrink it. So every time the gym thing falls apart again, you're not just disappointed about your fitness. You've got fresh evidence that you can't trust your own word. That's what actually erodes you, not the missed session, the broken promise. And here's the thing that's really annoying. The goals we set to fix us or fix this thing are usually the least trustworthy promises we could make to ourselves. It's almost like we punish ourselves with these rigid, unrealistic, change your whole life plans. The gym every day for an hour, 0 sugar and carbs, an hour of meditation daily, the whole overhaul starting Monday. It sounds ambitious, but it's actually just setting us up to fail, which means the shame spiral isn't a side effect of trying to change. It's backed into how most of us go about it. So if the real problem is self-trust, not willpower, the fix can't be try harder. It has to be something that actually rebuilds the evidence and that starts with who you decide to become. So, who do you decide to become? That's the crucial step most people never talk about, the one that makes all the difference. Now, I'm not talking about that I should exercise more or I need to meditate. Those are behaviors, and behaviors on their own are forgettable. What actually calls you forward is identity. And I don't mean slapping a label on yourself. I'm a meditator. I'm a runner. Now, that is a start, but it doesn't get you out of bed at 6 a.m. when it's, cold outside. What I mean is build an identity that excites you and calls you forth. So instead of just saying, I'm a meditator, imagine her. How does she show up with her kids in the morning? Is she calmer? Is she calmer with her partner after a hard day? What does she do differently at work when things go haywire? When does she meditate? And how does she feel while she's doing it? And how does she feel after? Get vivid. The more specific she is, the more she or he genuinely inspires you, the harder she or he pulls you forward. Personally, I go all the way and I've created alter egos, like a whole character. But you don't have to do that. But don't stop at the label either. The label doesn't get you out of bed. The person you've fallen in love with and want to become does. Because here's the thing. You're not really trying to build a meditation habit or a running habit or whatever it is. You're trying to become someone. And once you know exactly who that is, the daily habit becomes a lot easier to stick to. So now let's talk about what I call ignition. Identity alone can be enough. If you know who you're becoming and you just quietly start showing up as her, and we'll go through all the steps to do that, that alone can work. But if you're properly stuck, if inertia has got its hooks in you, here's something that speeds it up. I call it throwing your hat over the fence. And I love throwing my hat over the fence. It's simple. You commit to something with a hard date and a clear, unmissable stakes. And you do it before you're ready. Something specific enough that your subconscious can't wriggle out of it. A 5-kilometer run, a long charity walk, a 30-day challenge with a group, whatever it is that excites you and calls you forth, book it and tell people about it. It doesn't need to be huge, but it needs to inspire you. And it needs to be in alignment with that identity you're creating. It needs to be real enough that backing out costs you something. Because the moment there's a hard date and other people know, I'll start when I feel motivated, stops being an option. You're in it. And something strange happens once you're in it. You find a version of yourself you didn't know was there. The one who makes it work anyway, no matter how messy the timing is. Now, this is optional. You can create the identity and follow the next steps that we go through, and you'll still get lasting change. But doing this, the hat over the fence, is a powerful way to cut through inertia. I know this firsthand because I have done it several times, actually more than several, lots of times in my life. But 5 weeks ago, I had I threw my hat over the fence in the most unreasonable way possible. So let me tell you a bit about that story. I love dancing. And since I've done several different dance performances, dance troupes, all of those things, and I love it. Love, 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 love it. But I haven't done a dance performance since my youngest son was 1 and he's now 10. And I've, been wanting to get back into it for ages. But probably like you, I had all the reasons. I'm a mum of 2. I've got a business. I've got work, so many things to juggle. And so I would try a class here and there, but I could never make it stick. I could never get myself to go consistently to a class. I could never get myself to consistently learn. And I definitely couldn't get myself back up on stage. But there was always this yearning for it. So this year, when I was writing out my goals for the year, I was like, this is the year. I want to do a dance performance before my 47th birthday. And I put the date there, I put it there. And again, I just kept on few classes here, a few classes there, but not real movement. So then I did the work on the identity at first that I told you about. And I created this identity of this performer. And I loved her. She's awesome. I'm really inspired. She's way more brave than I am. And so I got really, really called to become her. But that alone, because I had so much inertia about this and so many other things happening in my life, was not enough in this specific case. So then I found out my birthday is coming up. It's actually, by the time it's in a week, And I was like, this was 6 weeks ago, and I was like, oh, I need to do something, but I don't know how. And then this opportunity popped up. It's like, it was meant to be a 6-week course from like 0 to performing, but I found out about it when there was 5 weeks left. And everything about it felt crazy. It was a style of dance I'd never done before. I have mold in my house, and we literally at the same time as this was happening had to pack up our entire house, like huge, crazy. I had the kids at home for school holidays. I could only make 2 of the classes. Like absolutely everything was unpractical about this. But there was something in me that knew that if I threw my hat over the fence like that, and I could become this person. And so that's what I did. I committed to this course. I enrolled, I paid, and then suddenly this person inside of me that I love came out, and she'd been hiding, that like unstoppable. I was somehow managing to get a costume made in record time, and I was driving hours to go get it and get it fixed, and like doing, little tiny practices in every little pocket of time I got because I barely had any time. And somehow I made it happen. And this week I got up on stage and I performed that dance, and God, I felt bloody good. Like awesome. So, so awesome. Not just because of the dance, because I was like, it was proof to myself. I can do unreasonable things. I can do what I say I'm going to do. And now that energy is contagious. Now I'm like, what more can I do? What else? And that's what I want for you. And it's about that, like the person that I was called to become. I made that person, the persona, the alter ego really, really strong. Like I love her and I love stepping into her. And I made the challenge big and exciting, and it brings out that unreasonableness. So I really invite you to give this a try because it works and it's fun. But now let's go back to habit, or forward to habit mechanics. So let's say you've got your identity. As we said, that's the most important thing. Maybe you've thrown your hat over the fence too. Now, how do you actually make it stick day to day? The first rule is don't overhaul your whole life. Don't just pick one identity, pick one, maybe 2 habits. That's it. This isn't about winning a marathon. It's about keeping your word. So the fewer promises you make yourself right now, the better your odds of actually keeping it are. And second, go small, like genuinely small. Not I'll meditate for an hour, Joe Dispenza style, or something like that. No, 5 minutes. Or not I'll run for an hour. No, 10. For me, that was like I will dance to my song that I'm performing to once a day. That's literally what I committed to for 5 weeks. Small, 4 minutes. And that's the thing. Small small and daily beats big and occasional every time, because you're not trying to be a hero. You're trying to build a muscle, and that muscle is trust. Now, a note of clarification, because you might have heard my story and be, but what are you talking about, Kelly? That's huge. Yes. If you're throwing your hat over the fence and taking on a specific challenge like I did, that challenge might feel big and scary, as mine definitely felt big and scary. But the regular habit you commit to in order to achieve it should not. So a dance performance in 5 weeks was super scary. But dancing to a song for 4 minutes a day felt easy. Like I was moving house, doing all kinds of crazy things, but I could still fit in 4 minutes. So that's the distinction I want you to get. Now, third, make it stupidly easy. Like you want to set yourself up to succeed, not to test your willpower. Get your gym clothes out the night before, get your audio recording, trainers by the door, whatever removes the friction between you and the thing, make it easy. And fourth, stack it onto something you're already doing. I don't know, like meditate in the shower. That sounds so weird, but I've actually done that. Like squats while the kettle boils. I don't know, gym straight away after you wake up before anything else happens. Attach it to a habit or a timer or a specific time that already exists. So it doesn't like need its own memory slot. You want it to be an algorithm that you just repeat without thinking. It becomes automated. When I do X, then I do Y. Simple. And fifth, track it. somewhere you can actually see it, a wall, calendar, an app, whatever works. Watch the ticks add up, because that's the evidence rebuilding itself right in front of you. And sixth, get people around you, friends, a group, a coach, someone cheering you on, someone who notices if you go quiet. And if you'd like extra support to take you through this process of creating an identity, setting a challenge, and instilling a habit that will stick, I offer specific coaching just for this. And you can book a free discovery call to see if it would be a good fit. And the links for that are in the show notes. I'd love to work with you. I love this stuff, and I'd love to help you do this. And then finally, celebrate every single time you keep your word. Everyone. Even when it feels too small, you want to keep reaffirming the identity that you're stepping into. You want to keep reminding yourself that you're becoming someone who does what she says she'll do. That's the person that you're becoming and proving herself to you, one kept promise at a time. So, as always, in Wellness Simplified, we finish every episode with a one habit or action you can take this week. So before you go, I don't want you walking away with 5 different ideas swimming around, because that's exactly the track we started with. I want you to identify one habit that you want to instill. That's the one that's the most important to you, and then create the identity around it. You can start with the basics, like I'm a dancer, I'm a runner, I'm a meditator. But then I want you to make it exciting. Take a bit of time, go sit in the sun or your favorite cafe and journal about the person who has that habit dialed in. Make it specific and vivid. Get excited about the person you're going to become, and then remind yourself of her or him every single day, and figure out the smallest habit that you will do each day in order to become that person. So that's it from me today. If you found this helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss what's coming up next. I have some incredible episodes coming up, and you don't want to miss them. And I'd love to hear from you. Please share in the comments the rut that you're trying to break, the identity that you're building, and any questions you have. I read everyone. All right, now go create that identity and then become her or him. And I can't wait to hear about it. And I'll see you next week. Thank you so much.